So, results. I started using the DHB and I was scared a little bit because I'm a cautious dude. I mean, I'm also a spiritual guy, so I pray in my head before I take a shot. And I've taken plenty of shots. There's people out there who have taken much more, of course. There's a lot of people that have taken a lot less. That's just how it is. It's just the straight up truth. Never proclaim any kind of natural this or that. And truth be told, when I don't train, I look like I still do. For most people's eye, definitely the layperson's eye, I'm still kind of like a muscle moose from your average person, you know, because I walk around at 5'8", 220, and you guys saw this before. This is not me dieting. This is just me eating whatever. You know, I got the turtle shell for relax it. But if I tighten it up, turtle shell. And I already said 19-inch arm. Slightly less than 19-inch arm. Left one. But the whole point of the DHB, after those 10 weeks in anti-Snell's law, 12 weeks DHB, 3 vials of 10 mLs from an underground company that I trust, along with 1 Sustanon with the 1 ml at 100 milligrams of DHB, so 250 milligrams sus standard. It was a standard underground, but still standard strength, meaning 250 milligrams per cc of ml of Sustanon. That's a 350 milligram total, the 100 from the DHB, the 250 from the Sustanon per shot. And I told you in the last clip that I took one of those every 2 to 4 days. On average, it was like probably more like 3.4 or 3.5 days. A little less than every 4 days, but more than every 3. So if you want to say every 3.5 days, I took a shot for 12 weeks. After that 228 to 230 I mentioned in the last clip that I was normally hovering at in a soft way, I became that same 228, 230, but reasonably leaner, like I am now, as opposed to being untrained and swole. Like, you know, I haven't lifted for a couple of days. I've been sick for the last week, but you can still see this is just, right now I'm on 350 milligrams of testosterone. Oh, that's not true. 450 a week right now. I use 1 shot of Sustanon, and I take, along with testosterone isocaparate at 100 milligrams. And then, so that's a 350 milligram shot. And I also do another one halfway through the next week. So every 3 or 4 days, I take that. So Saturday, I take 1 shot Sustanon, 1 shot, and mixed with one shot of Sustanon at 1 ml, mixed with 1 ml of testosterone isocaparate. That's a 350 total milligrams of test on Saturday. Then on Wednesday, I have a little booster to keep me going during the week that jacks up the level a little higher with just a single 100 milligram injection of testosterone isocaparate. So it's 450 per week total. There's reasons why I recently started using testosterone isocaparate. Obviously, it's an underground company because that's not made commercially for use by itself. It's one of the ingredients in Sustanon and in multiple ester compounds in other countries, but not in the US. But it's just a smart thing to do. The reason I do it is basically because the ester weight to testosterone purity, the percentage, if you will, is 75%, which is more than any other ester out there except for like acetate. So it's got a 9-day half-life. So it just kind of brings my baseline up higher, longer, without having to use a ton of test. And I still get more test per shot. And plus, propionate sucks for me, man. I know there's a lot of hardcore guys out there way bigger than me that love it. Propionate sucks. It just, I have bad memories from when I was younger. And I didn't know what I was doing then as well, because I've always studied this stuff. I didn't know what I know now, but enough that I wasn't doing anything stupid with it. It's just not a good fit for me. I'm one of the people that gets super PIP, post-injection pain from the smallest amount of propionate. It's just not good. And I don't feel good on it for some reason. Just, you know, test is test, yeah. It's like Bruce Lee said, you know, when I didn't know anything, a kick was just a kick, a punch was just a punch. Then when I really knew what I was doing, a kick wasn't just a kick, a punch wasn't just a punch. Then when I got to the point of mastery, a kick was just a kick, a punch was just a punch. I'm not saying I mastered this stuff, but there's very few people I truly learn things from these days, maybe 3 or 4 total on YouTube. And Derek's not one of them, guys, just so you know. He's cool and all, but his stuff is not as advanced as you guys think. But anyway, so that's what my story is. DHB works. I didn't eat a lot, meaning I didn't force feed myself like I did when I was competing in the NPC from 20 to 25 years old. And like I said, I only did 10 weeks and Snell's all together, Winstrol, injectable, to get in general shape. Went from a soft 228, 230 to a little bit of a harder 228, 230. One that clearly, you know, you look at the guy and you go, okay, dude's fairly jacked, you know, 5'8" again. And now 245 with the same kind of leanness as I was after that 10-week windshield and that date. But this was 12 weeks after that. So 10 weeks get in shape, 12 weeks DHB with Sustanon. It works. I stepped on a scale at church at the food pantry, and I stepped on the scale, and I was like, okay, this scale is about 10 grand. It's an industrial, you know, you weigh pallets on this bad boy, and it's down to the grams, even though it weighs you weigh thousands of pound things on it. So I step on there, and it said 245, and I look down. I have my shorts. I live in Florida. I have shorts on and you know, t-shirt. I don't have on a 20-pound belt or like a stacked wallet that's 20 pounds. I had nothing on me. So I grabbed this guy who I know personally is a little bit of an older, bulky guy who used to lift, but he's about 250. I'm like, so-and-so, come over here. Step on this scale for me. Let me know if it's right. You know what you weigh right now, by the way? Yeah. Oh, yeah, Renee, went to the doctor the other day. All right, well, let me know what you weigh. What do you weigh? 248. Okay, you mind stepping on there? He steps on there. 247.5. I'm like, holy crap, 245 pounds. Some days I eat twice. Some days I eat 6 times, like old school, 6 or 7, like a bodybuilder, but I don't try to make that happen. The point is, I just lift to have fun, and I only lift 35 to 45 minutes a day, 5 days a week, roughly, on average. Sometimes 3, sometimes 7. Sometimes I do something every day, like some kind of resistance, but not a real training session. Only difference is, ever since the Yale FU program, No More Fat Daddy, Jack Daddy, to make myself feel good and start using a little bit of synthetics again after I got rejected. Ever since then, I just enjoy it like I used to when I was 12, when I started lifting. Everyone thought I was on sauce when I was 13. It's kind of funny. Not till I was 20, guys. But DHB works, guys. I don't know if my experience with this specific ester that is, I haven't seen anybody have a different ester. They tend to call it 1-test-cypionate. I looked in the literature. I know how to research too, guys. I definitely do. And I couldn't find any legit article that talked about the structural components, meaning just the same jargon that you hear on every message board, which I don't spend a lot of time on because I never have. Honestly, because there's guys on there that know stuff, but it's really just people trying to learn more. Or not that I don't need to learn more, and not that I know it all, but there comes a point where there's very few places. If you spend an embarrassing amount of time doing a certain thing that you get good at, there's very few places you can get better at it. And then when you find those people, they're called mentors. I still have a few of them, but it gets harder and harder to find people to bring you to the next level with any given thing of knowledge while you're actively doing it. But unlike most topics, juicing and bodybuilding, those who can't teach does not apply. There's plenty of guys with average builds, like average amateur builds or elite amateur builds. I'd say I'm an elite amateur, meaning I'm nowhere near a pro, never have been. But I didn't even think I'd ever have a 19-inch arm with veins in it and lean, you know, with not crushing myself with drugs, and I'm not willing to do that. I still try to apply the 1 gram rule per week, and I'm planning on doing DHB again sometime soon, not to get bigger, but to get leaner. I did do, so however weight I gained, I was 245, pretty solid, reasonably lean. I'd say as lean as I've ever been, minus the, you know, the older body that just droops a little bit and isn't 25. At 45, I'd say pure fat-wise, subcutaneous, I am probably the same as I was off-season at, like, say, 25, after rebounding from the show that I won and qualified for nationals, and my body fat climbed back to a normal level. Other than the suppleness of the skin, like, you know, the turtle shell that I showed you before, you still see the block abs. You can still count 6. On a beach, you would see me from 20 feet and be like, okay, that guy has abs. But in a bodybuilding world, that's nothing. I'm obviously off season and fat by that means, for bodybuilding or for competing. I'm not trying to compete anymore. I just love doing this. But for anybody out there wondering who if DHB works, I can't say, yeah, everybody do it, because genetics are so different. But my experience, I had no PIP, which is weird. Everyone's like, if it's no PIP with DHB, it's fake. It wasn't fake, man. I used to take a lot more drugs than I took with the 100 milligram of DHB and the 1 Sustanon every 3 or 4 days, or 3.5 days, like I said. for 12 weeks that put me at 245 when I'm not force feeding eating than I was taking DECA, TEST, D-ball, GH, and force feeding myself and training myself to eat more once I was fully full so that I could expand my gut, which is probably where that turtle shell comes from, by the way. It's where most guys, I think, get it. It's not just gut, it's just distension from years of overeating because you have to train to eat when you don't want to eat in order to grow. That's basically the thing. Even juice stops you from growing after a while by way of appetite, meaning the juice doesn't stop you, but your appetite does. Your appetite stops the juice ability to grow, which is why other venues or avenues like insulin, GH, and a bunch of other things come into play. That's a whole other topic. But yeah, I mean, I'm still in awe kind of that DHB changed my body permanently. Or maybe I'm just one of those guys that man strength kicked in earlier in life, like 30s, like it would normally. But like old man daddy strength type thing kicked in size-wise in my 40s, I guess, with when I touched synthetics again. In all fairness too, when I did do that run of DHB, I did it with obviously about 750 milligrams of test every 10 days, because every 3.5 days I'm taking 1 ml of DHB at 100 milligrams in the same syringe with 1 cc of a standard 250 Sustanon, obviously 250 times 3, right? But it's not per week, not even close to exactly per week. It's every 3 to 4 days. Rarely it would be every other day if I just felt like taking a shot, but that whole 12-week time, I probably did that 3 or 4 times where I took 1 cc of each one, Sustanon and DHB, like a Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I just didn't want to poke that much, man. I put it in my delts, my glutes at this point in my life, you put the pin in there, and sometimes you literally hear, it's like a QWKKK sound, and that is scar tissue ripping, fellows. It's just not fun. I've never been a daredevil, but like I said, I've been juicing since I was 20 in one way or another. And even though I took just a shot every 7 to 10 days for 15 years of my life, between 25, 26, and 40, I still, if you add that all up, I've taken maybe not thousands, maybe, but hundreds of shots, personally, hundreds of shots. So yeah, you're gonna get scar tissue no matter what. But DHB, the one I used, find the right underground company. I don't want to talk about specifics about that publicly, but find the right underground company. Don't break any laws, but information only. Use your product. Don't take too much of it, meaning don't be going 500-600 milligrams a week. You don't need it. I'm not just saying that because of me. I'm saying that because DHB, it's strong. Like, I didn't feel the androgens so much. I felt good. I just felt good, and I felt kind of dense, but not sluggish. And I read everywhere too that you feel sluggish on it. Again, maybe that's just my genetics, but I'm not somebody who tends to be like anti-toxicity resilient. Like I have that somewhat of an Asian gene for alcohol. I can't drink much. I don't get sloppy drunker. I just get sicker. Never been a drinker heavily. I mean, in my old age, I must for me now, I love beer. For me, loving beer, that means I go through a 12-pack in a month. But yeah, that's about it. That's for DHB.